Hey everyone, Smudger here, and today we're going to be reacting to A Narrow Gauge Christmas Carol. I've been getting a lot of requests to watch this video, so I'm going to watch it and see why people like it so much. So we're going to get this reaction started right about now. Oh, this is fan-made, okay. I hope I'm in this, because I'm one of the characters, right? Yep. A Narrow Gauge Christmas Carol. Okay, it's based on A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, obviously. It's also based on Duncan the Humbug by Giving Moore, obviously. Also based on the railway series by Audrey. Okay. I need to put a little further into view. There we go. Now you guys can see me a little clearly. Okay. I'm guessing Joel Hunter is going to be playing the voice of Duncan in this. Long time no see from the video. It's been over a year since the last upload. So you're probably thinking, why are you doing this? Just to prove I'm cool, of course. Some good right there. You're probably thinking, how can you drink stuff that you don't have a digestive system? Well, we engines can consume water and coal, right? Or diesel fuel, basically. Okay. Dang, I like this. It's awesome. So far I'm liking the animation already. Wait, this is the opening credits. Okay. This is awesome. Hey, look, it's Duncan. He looks grumpy.
Christmas was a few days away on the island of Sodor. It was a very busy time, and a happy time too. All the engines of the narrow gauge railway enjoyed it.
Except this Scrooge.
Except for Duncan. He didn't like Christmas one bit.
I wonder why.
One early morning, he was picking up his usual passengers at Glenlock Station. He noticed the passengers wearing happy smiles.
Come on, smile, Duncan, please. It's wonderful time of year now.
Duncan wasn't happy as a small pile of snow fell from the roof of the station building and landed on his smoke box.
Bah, humbug!
Rheneas then pulled in.
If it isn't Rheneas, one of my old friends, or frenemies, whatever.
Hello, Rheneas.
Little known fact, me and Rheneas are based on the same locomotive, if you couldn't tell.
It takes so long to get the steam up.
I don't mind, really.
And if the points aren't frozen at the junction, that means even more hanging about.
You need to cheer up, you old grump. Get it, old grump? Get it? Yeah, you get my point.
Later, as Duncan was approaching a red signal, he tried to slow down, but the icy tracks made him slip and slide. Luckily, he managed to stop just before Rusty approached at the same signal.
One of the nice diesels on Sodor.
Hello, Duncan. How are you?
Well, not so great as you have seen. I very nearly had an accident.
Why don't you use your sandbox?
I've used up all my sand. And I expect there's none at the depot either.
Come on, Duncan, don't be such a stiff. Cheer up.
Arrived at Carvin's Gate Station, where he met Skarloey.
Morning, Duncan. Isn't this great?
Please just try to be cheerful.
Everyone is so happy this season.
Too bad I never returned to the series, which is a bit stiff and not fair. Okay, I'm trying not to get overheated. I'm trying to stay calm. Just stay calm, Smudger. Don't explode like a volcano on Hawaii.
The man said goodbye to the children and rushed to catch Duncan's train. The children were sad to see him go, and the guard was not pleased with Duncan's behavior.
Well, I wouldn't be either.
Soon, Duncan was on his way again, but Skarloey felt all his festive spirit fly out of his funnel.
Oh my.
Later at the depot,
Hey, well, if it isn't my old friend Falcon. Wait, where's Stuart? I see you've changed your names.
Duncan was complaining to me about the cold. And he told me there was no sand for our sandboxes.
Oh, excuse
But
me.
there's plenty.
He told me his passengers were slowing him down.
Duncan seems determined to turn this holiday season into one big chore.
Just then, Luke arrived at the depot.
Huh?
He was the
I'd never
youngest
seen
member
him
of the
before.
Skarloey Railway Fleet, and he knew just how to make his friends smile again.
How?
Well, I'm sure he'll cheer up when he sees the depot all decked out.
A workman flipped on a switch, and lights strung around the depot made it look festive as the 4 engines gazed at the wonderful sight. But when Duncan arrived, he didn't take one glance at it.
Bah humbug!
Or maybe not.
You think?
All the snow and sand is starting to turn into slush, and my wheels are wet and gritty because of it.
That's fun to do.
Well, I feel as good as new. I just came back from the Steamworks. You probably haven't heard
Nice
of
voice there.
The
Yep.
controllers
I like their
here
voices.
now
It's
gauge and
beautiful.
new code of-
Spray animation is one of the best animations you could ever ask for.
A fresh coat of paint, eh? And not before time, with all the work I have to do. Remembering the seasonal timetable, waiting around in the bitter cold, getting bugs in the face. Really?
What bugs would be out during Christmas?
There
Who
was
would
only
be?
one way to make Duncan
No bug,
complain
exactly.
all the time.
Or even just for one day.
Well, I'm sure Duncan will soon come to his senses about the Christmas spirit. I only wish I knew why he complains so much.
So do I, Luke.
We need to know a reason.
So do I.
Indeed,
I'm guessing the
no
narrator
engine
knows.
has. Duncan has kept his past to himself
Oh.
because he didn't want to mention Darren.
Who's
Long
Darren?
ago, before Duncan came to Sodor.
Oh,
both
that's
he
Darren.
and Darren
It looks
were
just like
brothers
Duncan, but
and
the
the
face is
best
different.
friends.
It's a different
They
name.
were both built by Andrew Barkay in 1928.
Back when steam engines were still pretty sensitive, those stinky
Both
diesels.
engines had Sydney and
No
Baxter.
offense, Rusty. No
Until
offense.
before Duncan
Order
left for
Sydney,
Sodor
or
in
Paxton,
1958.
or Salty, or Mavis.
Darren crashed in an
Yeah.
accident and was seriously hurt. The workman couldn't repair him so easily, and so Darren was left for dead in a scrapyard.
Wow.
Now,
Just
it's been
wow.
almost 50 years since Darren's death.
I'm guessing the Sodor is where steam is are sure to
Later that
stay
afternoon,
for good.
Duncan sped to the steamworks, where he spotted the thin controller talking to Victor.
Oh,
Evening, sir. I've come for my Christmas coat of paint.
Is that right? Well, I've heard from the other engines that you've been grumbling a lot lately.
you have.
No. Well, no more than usual.
You've been making everyone feel unhappy, Duncan. And when engines aren't happy, they don't work so well.
True.
Well, that's their problem, and that's just the way I am. So you can like it or not.
Well, I don't like it, Duncan. You can be first in line for a new coat of paint after Christmas.
But that's 4 days away. Are you telling me I came all the way here for nothing?
I'm afraid so, Duncan. Unless you change that attitude of yours, I'm afraid your new coat of paint will have to wait till the holiday is over.
Duncan
He's just like Sir Tom Hat,
as he
but
left
thinner.
The steamworks in a huff. For the rest of that day, he didn't change his attitude one bit.
What
Wow.
on earth did I do
Just
wrong
wow.
to deserve this? I've never grumbled in all my life.
The other narrow gauge engines made sure to steer clear of Duncan for the remainder of the day. That night, Duncan refused to sleep at the sheds with the other engines, so instead, he puffed to the engine depot and parked inside one of its sheds. He was still grumbling to himself very quietly as he stared out at the quiet night, when suddenly, Duncan heard a strange yet familiar whistle.
What?
That sounded like Duncan's was
What was that?
lower.
Probably just the wind.
A misty shape suddenly took form in front of Duncan.
This is the part where
It
Jacob
first
Marley
looked
comes
like
in.
a silver-gray cloud.
Yeah, I've read A Christmas Carol by Charles
Then
Dickens.
the
Don't judge
cloud
me,
took
okay?
The shape of an engine shape that looked very familiar to Duncan.
Wow.
As the cloud slowly disappeared, there stood a white transparent figure of the engine.
Does he look
with
familiar to
shades
you?
covering him from
It does
the
to me.
smoke box
Oh
to
wait,
his
we know
cap.
exactly who it is.
Duncan's eyes widened as he knew who it was.
Wait for it.
Darren?
Knew it!
No. No, it cannot be.
Duncan,
Ooh.
You don't
Deep masculine voice there, Darren.
I most certainly do not. You're just a figment of my imagination. You're not here. You were left for dead 50 years ago.
That may be true, brother, but not completely.
Just be lucky he wasn't brothers with me, whether we'd be a troublesome duo.
Only because I myself caused that accident. And how? Just because of my rotten attitude. Like you, Duncan, I didn't like the holiday season either.
I know.
No wonder why you're
Both
twins.
You and I had a lot in common. Why didn't I carrying so many passengers and having to deal with the freezing temperatures and...
Quiet!
Ah!
Whoa.
Duncan quickly backed into the shed a little further in fear.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. I believe you. I now truly believe you, Darren. Now, what do you want? Have you come to haunt me?
No, brother. I've come to warn you.
And those chains. How did you...
Because of my behavior and selfishness, this chain is sent to remind me of how mean and bad-tempered I was. I made the chain link by link and yard by yard. I could have had a happier life if only I had changed. Then I wouldn't have to drag this chain throughout my afterlife, Duncan.
Well,
An endless journey lies before me as I have no rest, no peace.
whoa.
Darren,
Just lucky that didn't happen to me.
I didn't know.
Duncan, I've come here to help you escape my fate. I didn't want you to take the path I chose and end up like me.
I understand. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. Anything.
Tonight, you will be haunted by 3 more spirits.
Okay.
What? No! I've already had enough hunting for one night.
Ah!
Okay, I'll do it. I'm sorry, Darren, I'm sorry. It's just more spirits?
Expect the first spirit when the bell tolls 1. The second will appear at 2. And the third when the last stroke of 3 has ceased to vibrate.
The deceased brother slowly started puffing backwards out of the shed as he faintly whispered.
Look to see me there, brother. Remember, never forget what you said.
And the spirit of Darren slowly vanished.
This is going to teach Duncan that if you don't change your ways, it could affect your past, present, and future, and you won't have a happy life by the end of
Be
it.
able to see his brother again. But there was no sign of the ghost anywhere. Duncan didn't know if he wanted to believe what he had just seen or not.
Ah, humbug.
He quietly backed into the shed and soon went to sleep.
Oh, excuse
Throughout
me.
the first part of the night,
Again and
Duncan
again.
couldn't sleep. The words of his brother's ghost circled round and round his funnel.
Expect the first spirit when the bell tolls 1.
In the distance, a church bell chimed once. Duncan opened his eyes and looked all around the shed for a ghostly figure to appear before him.
Nothing there. I knew it was all a bad dream.
Are you sure about that?
Then, a bright yellow light
If it's
filled
me,
the
that's
shed.
inaccurate.
Duncan shut his eyes tight as the warm light flooded everywhere, till it soon died down to just a pinprick. Standing just before
Is that
Duncan
Proteus?
was another narrow
It
gate
does seem
exit,
accurate.
but he looked unfamiliar, for he didn't belong to the Skarloey Railway.
I like how he has a
The
warm
entrance
smile on
reflects
his
the
face.
handle,
It really matches
but
his
was painted
personality.
Canary yellow.
Yeah, personality.
His face looked young, but also wise and kind.
Whoa.
Above his smoke box in front of his funnel was a white
I want that for
lamp,
me.
and the
But
flame
Mr.
inside
Percival
of it
won't buy me
glowed
one.
like a magical beacon.
Who are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Oh,
Come,
he has deep white in his kind of voice. I like that.
Where are you taking me?
to your past, of course.
Wait, how did he couple up to
The
him?
ghost
Oh, right, he's a
coupled up to
ghost.
Duncan,
He's magical.
And suddenly, his lamp glowed into a bright white light. Duncan found himself in a place he hadn't seen in a long time.
Wow.
It was a large building with
Look, it's
lots
Darren
of
before he
machinery
died.
making strange
I like how
humming
Duncan
sounds.
has a smile on his face next to the
Several
ghost.
narrow-gauge
That's a pretty
engines
good
puffed
touch there.
past Duncan and the ghost, but they didn't seem to notice the two engines as they carried on with their business.
The shadows of your past, Duncan, so they cannot see or hear us. Do you recognize this place? Sorry, I can't help it.
Dude, this was the old factory where I used to work. It's Scotland.
Just then, a familiar narrow-gauge engine with black paint and gray stripes rushed past Duncan and the ghost. He seemed to be enjoying himself. It was his brother, Darren.
I like how both their names begin with a D. That's a pretty good touch.
Then Duncan saw himself in his original factory livery, very similar to Darren's, as he was trying to catch up with his brother.
Hi, we've got a busy day ahead of us as it's Christmas.
Seemed to enjoy Christmas back then. Haven't you? Close enough.
Darren always knew how to keep us smiling on a hard day's work.
Yes. But all that happiness will soon end. Just can't help it.
Ghost soon
Voice
made
is so
time
beautiful.
fly by for a few more years till
I like how
could
Duncan
see
and the
him
ghost
again
right there have a
Darren
blank
on
expression.
platform,
That's pretty good there.
waiting for workmen to load up his trucks.
Ugh, come on. We're gonna be late if you don't get on with it.
I see Darren's gotten more grumpy for the past 3 years.
Christmas has gotten more crowded the past few years. Now that people use more trains to deliver goods rather than road vehicles or aircraft.
Trains are just reliable as air vehicles. I'm just kidding.
But I thought Christmas was a time for happiness, Darren.
Aye, for them, but not for us. While the humans enjoy this Christmas season, we get to do the hard work of delivering goods. I haven't had the chance to see the tree lighting ceremony last week because I had to take yet another goods tray.
No wonder why Duncan's so grumpy. Because Duncan was Darren was grumpy.
The past Duncan slightly confused.
I like doing the accent. It's fun. It was not. That was actually Italian one. It's Scottish. Yep. Yeah, Duncan and Darren are Scottish. If you couldn't tell. Yeah.
Grumbling dreadfully.
At first, you ignored your brother's complaint before you left for Sodor. But, unfortunately, one day in 1958, all of that changed.
How so?
This stupid frost is making my pistons freeze. When will we get this job over with?
Calm down, old boy. We'll have this job done soon. But you shouldn't keep grumbling forever. It is Christmas after all.
Bah! Humbug.
Darren was so busy complaining and his driver was
I hear
too
intense
focused
music
on calming
playing.
his engine down that neither of them noticed that they had passed a red signal.
You're not supposed to pass through a red signal. It's against the rules.
A different narrow gauge engine was coming down the line
That can't be
with a
good.
goods train of his own. When suddenly,
Stop! Stop! You're on the wrong line!
Darren soon realized his mistake. He was about to crash into another engine. Darren's driver slammed on his brakes, but Darren was going much too fast to stop. All he could do now was shut his eyes tight and brace for the impact. Both drivers of the engines jumped clear just before Darren collided into the other engine and both derailed.
Whoa.
Darren and his train, along with some of the other engine's trucks, started to tumble down a hill next to the tracks. As Darren continued to tumble down, slate and coal spilled out of the trucks and battered his boiler and cab, making dents in uncomfortable spots along the way. One giant slab of slate even struck Darren in the smokebox door. Duncan watched in horror at the sight of his brother dying in front of him. He had always heard words of Darren's demise, but seeing it happen with his own eyes was more terrifying and gruesome than Duncan had ever imagined. Soon, Darren and the trucks stopped tumbling down. A giant cloud of dust filled the air from where they crashed. The other engine, who remained derailed on top of the hill, was shocked at the sight.
It wasn't the other engine's fault, you know.
Engines were also frightened. If either of them had rolled down the hill when the trains collided, they could have been killed as well.
Someone call for the breakdown train.
By the time the breakdown train arrived,
That looks
Darren
bad.
was in a very bad state. He was unconscious, and a smokebox door was hanging open, which made the sight even more disturbing. The manager of the factory surveyed the scene with a somber look on his face.
It's too late and expensive to repair him in this state. I'm afraid he will be to kick the bucket.
Sir, are you sure? Duncan will not like that. He's his brother after all.
I know, but he's damaged beyond repair and he could be dead already. Just not scrapped. Either way,
You have enough money to fix
there's
Darren.
no use
You're
having him
lying.
here in a state like this.
You're just as great as Sir Topham Hatt.
Showing me this.
It was on Christmas Day, the day of Darren's accident, that you learned about him, and that he was left for dead at the scrapyards. Ever since, you've hated Christmas.
If I lost my brother, I hate Christmas too.
Too much of Darren's unfortunate end. And ever since, you've become exactly like him. Ill-tempered, bad-mannered, rebellious, and hard to control.
I like how throughout this, only a few of them change facial expressions.
You first had to reminiscence about why you hated Christmas, and really think about it. But you will soon be shown why the holiday is so important to others, Duncan. And you will understand that your actions and your attitude may very well affect others. But as I cannot show you that, someone else will.
Who?
The ghost didn't answer. He instead slightly smiled as he shone his lamp so brightly that Duncan woke up instantly, back in the shed, all alone.
It was just a
He
dream.
looked around,
What a twist.
but found no ghost of Christmas past. Duncan remained silent, lost in thought.
I'd be amazed
He
too, you
wondered
know.
who would come to haunt him next. Well, he had yet to soon find out. As the clock chimed 2 in the
Excuse me again.
distance.
I got the burps today. Sorry. Excuse me again.
Duncan looked around the depot shed nervously for any sign of another spirit.
Really?
At first, he thought no spirit ever came,
Wait for it.
but then he heard an unfamiliar whistle. Appearing
Is
just
that
before
Bartram?
him was another
Well, it
engine.
totally matches why he's the ghost of Christmas
The
present.
engine's
If I'm the ghost of
business
Christmas
looked like
future,
me,
I'm gonna love this
but
forever.
his face looked more cheery
Maybe.
as he seemed to smile more. He wore a green wreath-like crown round his funnel, and he seemed to be carrying a torch on his front.
Really?
My dear Duncan, I am the
Duncan,
ghost of Christmas
smile, please.
present, and I have come to show you the things of what Christmas can do.
Ah, I know what it's all about. It's all about gifts and singing and being cheerful to one another. Well, I think it's rubbish.
You
out
don't
there
talk
with
to a
many
ghost like that.
passengers to carry around the island and many goods to deliver that will soon go to waste. Huh. Honestly, I wish Christmas never existed, as it's a lot of hard work on us narrow gauge engines.
Such words.
Duncan, what a horrible thing to say.
Telling me, dude.
Not all of that is true. You have much to learn, young one.
You gotta be kidding me.
Before Duncan could reply, the ghost lit his torch that brightened the night into day from outside the shed. Then the ghost escorted Duncan out of the depot.
If it
shed
isn't
and
Dookie, my old mentor, how could you just leave me to
However,
rust out
one
there?
berth was left empty, and that was Duncan's. Duncan could hear
How could
the
you
engines
do this to me?
chatting, laughing,
Really,
and
Dookie?
enjoying
Why
the
did you
time with
abandon
the
me?
who were drinking
Why?
hot cocoa and roasting s'mores over a fire.
One day I'm gonna get my revenge on you for this.
Only 2 more days until Christmas.
Oh, yes, Scarlowy. The holiday is almost upon us. But I can't help but feel sorry that Duncan couldn't come.
Oh,
I feel bad
think
for
it
him
would
too,
be
even though
best
he's
to
kind of
leave
an
him alone
asshole.
for now.
Smudger!
I too wish
Okay,
he'd
I was
come,
just kidding,
but I wouldn't
jeez.
stand that attitude of his to ruin this holiday season.
Oh yes, we've tried so hard to cheer him
Sorry
up,
for my language.
and now look where it has led him.
That's just it. It may be spending a day at the depot shed at Christmas, but think about the rest of the month and probably into the next year.
I like Luke. He's very cheerful and polite and many other things.
Seen, not heard, Grandpa.
We know.
I didn't listen to him.
I wouldn't worry too much, Luke and Duke.
Duncan doesn't have his cap.
Stick together like
That's a detail they overlooked. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Until then, we'll all have to look
Excuse
out
me, I got the giggles too today.
Driver, I'd like to make a toast to Duncan. May he change his ways in months to come.
Really?
To Duncan.
To Duncan!
The ghost of Christmas present eyed Duncan, who stared at young Luke.
Something trouble you, young engine?
Luke, he is such a kind spirit. Oh, Scarlet,
He is.
that reminds me. I have to pick up the Christmas tree tomorrow for the Christmas party.
Sounds great, Luke. But please take care on the hill, will you? I hear the tracks can be very icy.
Oh,
Really?
I will, Scarlet. I'll be sure to fill up on extra sand before I leave tomorrow.
Something bad's gonna happen on the hill, I can tell.
Left at the depot.
Perhaps. But did you not hear from the other engines that there was plenty of sand yesterday? However, your friends have used so much of it today that they may not be enough for tomorrow on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
But that means...
Yes, Duncan. If these shadows remain unchanged, then Luke will seriously hurt, maybe worse.
For a sprite movie, this is pretty dark. But I like dark.
Darkness fell around Duncan and the spirit as the scene
Bertram's starting to
slowly
rust.
faded away.
See you back in the
Duncan
spirit realm
suddenly
after I've
noticed
done my
the spirit
duty.
slowly started to become
I already
rusty,
have in the
and
real
the
world.
flame in its
But in my
torch
afterlife,
was
it's a whole
fading.
lot different.
Spirit! What's happening to you?
My time is almost over, for it ends at 3. Don't you see, Duncan? If you continue to spread your behavior amongst your friends, they soon won't care about you anymore. And if that happens, then your path will be a dark future.
True.
What do you mean? What's gonna happen?
Just then, the bell tolled 3, and the engine spirit became more rusty than ever. He closed his eyes and still smiled as he let out a weak chuckle. The flame in the torch soon extinguished, and the spirit faded away into dust, leaving Duncan alone in the dark. Duncan didn't know what to do or where to go. But just
Is that me?
then, a
Probably
silver
is.
mist clouded the area where a third spirit emerged in front of Duncan. The spirit looked different among the rest, for he was colored black as night. There was no face to show except an empty smoke box door. Duncan was frightened, but he plucked up courage as he spoke.
You're the spirit of Christmas yet to come, are you?
The engine stood silent.
I like how throughout this, I'm completely silent. If it's not me, then I'm gonna be very upset.
Things that will happen. Isn't it so? Isn't it? Spirit, I fear you more than any other ghost so far. But I'm ready for you to show me. So lead on.
The ghost of the future blew.
I like how I'm
his
scaring
whistle,
Duncan a little
and
bit.
portal
It
opened
really
behind
matches my
him.
intimidating personality.
He puffed through it, and Duncan followed. When they came
Hey, this is
out
from
the other
trains.
side,
There was also a train
they
scene at the
found
beginning.
themselves at Croven's Gate
There's
Station.
another, I'm gonna say like,
There were no
eh,
Christmas
it's
decorations,
best at the time.
for Christmas had come and gone. Scarloey was there with the passenger train, and Thomas was on the other side of the platform with Annie and Clarabelle. Duncan could see Scarloey looking tired and sad.
I don't blame you.
Scarloey, I'm so sorry for your loss. He was
Who are they
such a
talking about?
kind and brave engine. I'll never forget those days when I first met him, and how he saved me from that cliff at the Blue Mountain Quarry.
Really?
If there's anything I can do to help you or the other narrow gauge engines, please don't hesitate to ask me.
Thank you, Thomas.
I like their sweet and humble personalities.
All
All of us are different. Here's a little thing that Caleb said. Making fun of someone who is different is like making fun of yourself. It's true.
On the opposite track of the narrow gauge railway,
2? If you're talking about that Scrooge of this railway, then I'd say good riddance. I'm sick of his grumbling and complaining, and he hasn't changed one bit. Our railway will soon be more cheerful without him around.
Rusty, I'm ashamed of you. Remember when our number 6 first came to this railway? He wanted you gone as he thought diesels were not fit for our railway.
Well, I don't blame
After
him.
you helped him, he was grateful. But all the same, he never changed. He never changed.
Word to the wise.
The guards
Don't
whistled
keep
blue
secrets from your
and
controller.
slowly
It's a really bad
slowed
idea if you
away
do
his
that.
passenger train. Thomas and Rusty sadly watched him go as Duncan turned to the ghost.
Thomas gets only one appearance in here, while the others do, because it's based on the narrow gauge engines having their own Christmas
The ghost
Carol.
of the future blew his deep whistle, which transported them
You
both
should have
to
said
the
again,
Sodor
but whatever.
Steamworks. The building looked gloomy, silent, and still.
They look
Standing
sad.
outside the main entrance were a sad, thin controller and Victor.
Sir, look, I know we're not able to save him in time, but would you consider having a keepsake?
Yes, Victor. I would like that. As a reminder of how I once had a kind and hard-working engine at the Blue Mountain Quarry.
Kevin rolled out of the building, carrying a small box on his hook. He slowly lowered it down in front of the thin controller and then rolled next to Victor. The thin controller picked up the box and pulled out a whistle and flag.
I'll place this at the sheds for the other engines.
I'm gonna change.
Remember
Okay.
5 minutes. We'll do the short ride today. Never forget.
Okay.
Dear Luke.
Duncan gasped. He could
Oh,
just
it was
make out
Luke
the
who
writing on the
crashed.
small flag
How
saying,
sad.
"In loving memory of Luke, a really useful engine."
And what about number 6?
Oh.
Really?
Well, I too request a plaque for him, but not the keepsake. I warned him.
Some friends never
but
learn
he
to be
didn't
quiet.
seem to listen, no matter how hard he tried.
Then, what do we do with those who remains?
Scrap them!
You're not suggesting you'll scrap.
I don't wish to see that yellow color, number, or nameplate ever again.
As you wish.
You sound irritable.
Duncan was so horrified by what his controller had said that he didn't realize he was suddenly transported to a scrapyard. Around him were piles of metal and rusty machines which made the yard look more terrifying than he ever imagined. The black ghost then presented Duncan a heap of scrap that was off to the side from where they were standing.
Spirit, before I examine that pile of scrap you showed me, please answer me one question.
If Mr. Percival calls me to work, I'll have to upload full reaction on Patreon. I mean YouTube. I'll have to upload half of it. I have to go.
The ghost didn't respond, so Duncan had no choice but to see what was before him. When he did, he could
I want to see
a
who this ghost is.
recognizable number
If it's
6 in
it
yellow
me
color.
or Reneus.
Duncan suddenly gasped as he saw the nameplate of the engine. Duncan.
I recognize this song. It's Reign Supreme by Kevin MacLeod or MacLeod. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Oh no, Spirit, please, no!
Is it me? Is it me who's the ghost, or is it Darren? No, it can't be Darren because Darren just
I'm
showed
not
up.
the engine I once was! I'm not!
That's just the way you are.
It's me, isn't it?
Whether you like it or not.
On the smoke box door, Duncan could see the ghost protruding an unrecognizable face. It looked almost deformed, but showed a personality of showing off and recklessness. The spirit laughed menacingly as
I knew it
darkness
was me.
fell around Duncan.
No! No! No, I don't want my life to end this way! I want another chance! Please, Spirit, please! I'll change! I'll change!
Dang, that was intense.
Duncan
But I
woke
liked
up with
it.
a start.
No, I loved it.
He breathed heavily as he looked around. He was no
It was a
longer in
dream the whole
scrapyard,
time.
but he was back in the depot shed, home, on Sodor. It looked like morning as Duncan could see his crew approaching him.
Driver! Fireman! Oh, am I glad to see you! You have no idea what I've been through! And...
Whoa, slow down there, old boy. You look like you've had a rough night.
He was haunted by
Today? Tell me,
Darren,
what's today?
Proteus, Bertram, and me.
Are you sure you feel
Nice
all
touch
right?
there.
Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve?
You didn't miss it.
I feel as grand as golden!
Good one.
Driver, fireman, please, fire me up quick! I've got things to do!
I don't know what's going into him, but I quite like this new attitude.
Next half hour, Duncan's firebox glowed bright and hot. As he started steaming out of the sheds, he looked up to the skies and whispered,
I promise, Dad.
You better keep your promise, Duncan, because we'll haunt you again if you don't.
I keep it throughout the whole year. Not just the whole year, every year. I won't shut out the lessons of the past.
Yeah.
Lessons of future, and I'll do my very best to
Damn,
make
Smudger.
everything right.
I'm coming, dude.